Today's stream is about to start. We'll talk about code or whatever we'll talk about today. It's about to start, so please hang tight while I check that everything is okay. Sound check, camera check, lights check. How's my hair? Oh, wait, I don't have any hair. Maybe put some pants on and I am good to go. So get ready wherever you are, 'cause this stream is about to start. Get ready wherever you are, 'cause this stream is about to start. Hello and welcome to another meeting of the C++ Digital Signal Processing, JUCE, and plenty of other things study group. It's great to be here. Hello, Fotis. Hello, Bo.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Okay. You're hanging in there. You watching this on YouTube, you know that we are almost 15 minutes late. So, yeah, we have been talking. We are hanging in there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
had some things to get out of our chest.
Yeah, Dale and Major here on the chat. Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Hello,
It's
Dale.
always a blast to see you. So, let's get to it. Fotis, why don't you start us off?
I will, but right now I am exporting a plugin, so maybe Bo or you can take it until
sure.
it compiles.
You want to go first, Leandro?
I can,
Right.
but it's embarrassing. I promised I would do something. I did nothing. I am alive. I have the camera set up again. You can see that it's not like green screen and good lighting and everything, but at least the camera is good and the audio is better. It's no longer a laptop. So, does that count?
Absolutely. We're making progress.
We can only compare ourselves to ourselves from the previous stream. And the camera is a bit better and the audio is a bit better. So that's what I have been up to. I'm thinking of picking things up again, and since I have to dust things off, I was thinking of just doing some little puzzles like the Project Euler puzzles in C++. It's something that I sometimes do in programming languages that I'm learning. And that may be something that I can actually chew on the next 2 weeks. I am not in a position to bite more than I can chew. So maybe I will do some Project Euler exercises. Do you know about Project Euler?
No?
Oh, it's actually kind of fun. So it's this list of challenges, and they start very easy, and they get freaking complicated. And I think there's like hundreds of them. So it starts with something like add up the number of prime numbers up to 100 or something. And then you write a little piece of code that solves that issue. And it's usually
All right.
Yeah, it's usually something mathematical, and it's usually something that you can do relatively quickly. And then, well, at least to begin with. And then you can exercise just literally typing in the language, and you can work with the primitives for mathematics, basically, because they tend to be mathematical problems. So, yeah, I guess I am changing my promise for next week. I will do a couple of those challenges in C++, and we'll see how that goes.
Cool.
That's my
Very
update.
Cool. Awesome.
Bo, what do you have for us?
Yes. I'll start with sharing the screen. Can you see it? So, what I've been up to of late, I struggled so hard with the issue of side chaining.
Oh, hey, Bear Tommy, curve analyzer, my sweet baby. Oh, I love you so much. No, please continue, sorry, Bo. I just had a,
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It was passionate. And I finally, I asked for help on Discord, and I oddly enough, I solved it. I don't know if this is a bug in Reaper, once I froze the track, the side chaining started working. And so I have a functional compressor. So it's going to need some fine tuning now. I have, so here's the internal, external. Do you want me to do a audio example?
Yeah.
So here goes. Can you hear it?
Oh, no, we are not getting that feed, no.
UK.
Man, routing is so fun.
Yeah, I should have checked this prior.
I have mastered, I was talking about the camera and the microphone, I have mastered my setup because since I am in a different room, I am using a different microphone and it's a whole thing. But I had to redo all my routing in Reaper to have the stream work, and I did it before the call in like 5 minutes. Like I have worked on this for so many hours optimizing the setup that these days I can do it pretty fast.
Oh, cool.
I understand because I every Friday I'm doing DJ sets on a friend's Twitch account, and I used to do the streams from home, but then I started using my neighbor's bigger screen and everything. And I had to install Reaper there with my license, and I had to recreate, to reload my my Reaper project, and then I had to do the same OBS settings again and again and again.
Yeah, you pick it up.
I've been there.
I still haven't learned how to do it properly on Windows. It's going to take me like half an hour to do it. So, but at any rate, you can check. This is the compression meter. So now it's doing the internal. So it's a synth pad, and this is the kick.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some clear visuals there. And I also updated the widener. This sort of, here comes the wide.
Too much.
Yeah, way too much. So I tamed the code a bit. And I got going on a thing that I did a while back. Oh yeah, I can show you the difference in. So this is the wide, this is the regular, and this is too much. So it increases quite a bit. But there's some phasey issues with the regular, and if you use the too much, it's over the top phasey. So.
And it's also getting a bit louder.
Oh yeah, I'm adding signal. So I'm thinking of another way of doing that widener thing, but it's going to take some coding to do that. I'm going to use an all pass to create a side signal. Maybe let's see if it works. But I continued working on the sort of comparing 3 different EMAs.
Oh, nice.
And I used to have 5 as well. I had one that had 5, and it didn't work. Like it was weird. And also, I think I got to the conclusion I'm probably doing a weird and roundabout way of doing RBJ filters.
Oh.
Because they are summing, multiplying, subtracting, etc., different EMAs in a sort of matrix-like pattern. So I'm thinking this is just a weird way of doing an RBJ. Except that yeah, sure.
Can you show us?
Absolutely. So. There's 3 different EMAs. So regular low-pass filters, I call them EMAs, but it's a 6 dB low pass. these three, the idea is to multiply two of them and then divide by a third to get a smoothing. And I've tested this on other statistical material, like statistical series of numbers. And it's a really, really great smoothing for statistical purposes. But I think it's just a weird... It's a weird way of doing an RBJ filter. And also I compared, I plussed it by... in order to do the division, I had to get above 0 because you can't divide by. You'd get like positive numbers if you divide by below 0. So I added 9 to the sample value. And I've also compared that to sort of just by multiplying, dividing, and then adding and subtracting the same EMAs. So in order to show that, which of the function, this is a regular 6 dB. So it just adds the 2 and then subtracts the third. So once I create, they're the same. Are you following me? Am I just rambling on?
No, it makes sense. There is one thing that I don't get, and that you said that it's a weird way to do an RBJ filter, but I don't see this as an RBJ at all. It doesn't look like even the first normal form. Even that form of the equation doesn't look like this. It doesn't look like you're computing coefficients and using them in a regular biquad way.
No, it's not a regular RBJ, but I think I'm getting like the same results. It's a sort of a bodged version of. Maybe someone does Tail have an answer? He usually has an answer.
Usually does.
But at any rate. At this setting, so then the EMAs are the same value, i.e., I add this value and subtract it by the same value. I multiply by the value and divide by the same value. So then the curve looks like this. But once I sort of spreading out the value, I lower one and then raise one. The curve starts to look like this, and you can very, very easily break the break it by so this is a sort of a bright function, and I can also I should add the yellow line is the multiplication. The white line is the adding and subtracting.
Okay.
But these are sort of quite usable curves. Specifically for vocals.
Yeah, I was thinking just that. I was, again, as I said, sort of reconstructing my routing, and I put a filter that looks exactly what you have on the screen.
So next step is to make an equalizer that has some usable values, and then so I'd like the base cut, maybe do 2 in series, so I can get a harsher, sort of steeper value, and then the bright one as well, so I can get like a proper. I want to get sort of a proper vocal EQ to work with. So base cut, mid cut, and then the sort of a bright switch or something. So
nice.
there it broke.
For the frequency, now with the latest, I guess 1 or 2 versions of Reaper, you can set a slider in JSFX that is logarithmic. Super cool stuff. So you can have a frequency that is not linear. I mean, the slider isn't linear.
Oh, that's good. So you set that in the slider section?
Yes, I have not. Oh, Tail gave us the answer in the chat. Direct form 1, not normal form 1. Was probably thinking of database normalization or something. But yeah, in the latest versions of JSFX, I had not used this myself, so I don't know how it goes. But here's what the docs have to say. You set this log in the declaration of the slider.
All right. That's extremely handy.
It is.
Okay. Good tip. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm going to jump ahead. And what I haven't been doing is the onions. I haven't been able to find a proper way of doing an octave divider. I know we talked about the sort of your frequency counter, but I couldn't sort of I couldn't find a useful way of converting that. Do you have any ideas other than the frequency counter?
Well, you want to, let me see if I understand right. You have the signal and you want to play it 1 octave below.
Yes.
So and you're talking about that pitch detractor or pitch tracker that we did some time ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe that could be a way of doing this, but the idea that I have is, how about you just buffer some samples, so you have a sort of delay line, so to speak, and then when playing it back, play it at half the speed.
Okay.
So that should give you 1 octave below. Now the issue is that, how do you play half speed? You only have sample, let's say sample n and n minus 1. But if you want to play half speed, you would have to come up with a sample in the middle. So n minus a half, sample n minus a half. Mm-hmm. And you can come up with this by doing interpolation of the two samples. And then the next problem is, if you're playing everything an octave below by replaying at half speed, at some point you will desync with the rest of the world, right? Your track will be playing much slower than everything else. So maybe, and this is just me spitballing here. I have never done anything like this, but what about just replaying everything at half speed, but then skipping some parts so that you are still in sync with other things? And maybe you are smart about the way you do this skipping by crossfading, so that the skips aren't jarring. And this is sort of how we have done the pitch. Before we did the pitch tracker, we did something very similar to this, but I forget what we called.
You and Aria coded a pitch change thingy.
Yeah, that's the one I have in my mind right now. And it works in pretty much this way that I'm explaining. If I remember correctly, it can speed things up and slow things down, and it will be doing the buffering that I'm talking about and the crossfading that I'm talking about. So in other words, we sort of have coded this. It's just not the pitch tracker, it's the pitch shifter. That's what we called it, the pitch shifter. Yeah.
Do you remember when I discussed this the last time?
I do, yes.
Doing it the old school way that they did it in guitar pedals, the sort of the first octave droppers, where they just took every second zero crossover.
Oh, I think I remember that. No, I was misremembering. I was thinking of that other thing that actually does an octave up by rectifying the wave. So flipping all the negatives into positives and then doing a DC offset removal. So goes back into around the 0 line. But that gives you an octave up, not an octave down. So how does this one you're describing works? You count the number of 0 crossings, and when you get 2 0 crossings, you flip the wave?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that would mean that I would do I need to store samples to do that in order for it to count?
I guess no. You could do that by just counting 0 crossings. How many have I encountered so far? And depending on the number, you start inverting the polarity of the signal or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I need to code it. That's the issue. The concept and the idea is.
It always is.
The thing.
Or maybe not. I don't know. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they are a programmer, and they are thinking of going more into a management role. And the reason was that ChatGPT can write the code for you. We don't need programmers anymore. So maybe, Bo, you can just tell ChatGPT to write this one for you.
I've tried. Trust me, I've tried. The thing is, it sucks at JSFX.
Oh, no.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's great with other things, but it's way better at Lua. It wanted me to do it in Lua, and I tried a couple of times actually, but I might have another go at it.
Yeah. Counting the 0 crossings is something similar to what we have done in the pitch detector, the pitch tracker.
Yeah.
And in your case, you don't even have to do as much work as we did, because we wanted to do a pitch tracker, so we were not only counting the number of 0 crossings, but we were also counting the number of 0 crossings over a window, and we did all sorts of crazy things to try and reduce noise. But in your case, you just have to, I guess, keep one variable that will remember the number of 0 crossings, and you accumulate on that variable. So you don't even need a delay line.
Okay.
By the way, speaking of 0 crossings, did you know that in Reaper, if you load a wave file on a track and then you press the key Z on your keyboard, the playhead automatically jumps to the next 0 crossing?
No.
Nice.
That's a good one, because a lot of the time when I'm editing, I'm looking for 0 crossings.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you're making loops.
Mm-hmm. So 2 variables would be sort of, if I could store 2 variables and have them and sort of juggle them in a sense to have. That's a novel idea, I guess. Novel for me, at least. Anyways, while I have your attention, did you see the visit that I think it's Dr. Mix did at Tails' office, Martinique? Yeah, cool.
The ChatGPT synth.
Yeah, exactly. And I was wondering, I saw this Yamaha rotary speaker. Are they gonna is Martinique gonna model that tail? Because they're awesome. You can answer in the chat. But anyways, that's it for me. I still haven't got. I've done some stuff to the library, but I need to get going on that as well. So the floor is yours, gentlemen.
Okay, I'm gonna take over, but the build is almost finished. But until it does, I'm gonna show you guys my I forget the word, not the progress, the method that I used this time. So let me share my screen again with computer sound, start sharing. So remember that synth that I made the last time, the wild, I'm building that.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna tell you the roadblocks I hit along the way, because you know that I couldn't compile it. Hopefully it's gonna work now. But it turns out that the major issue with compiling was the fact that in my effects, I can't show it right now because HIS is working in the background. But I was using the convolution reverb that's built in HIS, and that is using, you may remember to have mentioned it in a stream many months ago. It was using this thing called the Intel Performance Primitives, or IPP. So the version I was using was the 2021, the 2020 version, because it was the one that was working with Visual Studio 2017. Unfortunately, sorry?
No, that's nothing. That was just that my phone went off.
Okay. Unfortunately, the latest nightly of HIS, which came out today, has when you load the IPP from 2020, it says deprecated in parentheses, which is never a good sign. So I had to install the 2021 version, which you can get from here, based on this installer called the Intel One API based toolkit. I like this quote, "No transistor left behind." So you check out your operating system, and I recommend you use the offline installer, which is 3 gigabytes. The online is 12 megabytes, but I prefer having the offline one just in case. So I downloaded and installed this one, but it stopped because it wasn't compatible with Visual Studio 2017. So I had to uninstall Visual Studio 2017, and I installed 2022, the latest one. And everything worked like a charm, and the latest build of HIS has solved a few problems with exporting with 2022. And by accident, it finished. Yeah, I don't remember if exporting to VST2 is slower or faster than VST3, but I chose VST2 by accident. But it's gonna work anyways, probably. So yeah, the VST is here waiting for me to use it, but I'll just wait. Another thing I wanted to say, Leandro, I don't know if you saw it on Discord. Oh, it's finished. But I am a Patreon subscriber to you.
I noticed. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you.
No problem. Cool. It's the least I could do. Now, let's see if I'm gonna scream. You know what I'm screaming. The real OGs of this chat know. And you know what song we're gonna play in our heads because we want to avoid copyrights.
Oh, the sad situation of the world.
I still forgot to add my name, but... Oh! It works! It works! Oh my god. Yeah, it's too loud. I'm gonna turn the...
I want to see a t-shirt of that.
And also I made a small bug fix on the GUI. I slightly fixed the keys. Some of them are still missing.
But not 100%. I appreciate that you left the joke in there.
Yeah. It still has work to do on the GUI, but yeah, this is my first synth in a long time because I had abandoned making synths in order to focus on sampled instruments, but I wanted to go back to synth making because I wanted to experiment with script node. And as you can see, things are working. Let's see without the effects. And I think we can mix between the two waveforms. And we can turn on the LFO. Yeah, it's doing a vibrato. But of course, the main selling point is this awful effect, intentionally awful. Because I want it to be like the anti-chiptune synth in a way. And let's... Is it... The effect is not actually leaving the attack time. This is interesting. Because if I have turned on the effect, it's like it ignores the attack. Because it's slamming the sound so hard that even the highest attack values are still no match for this effect. This effect is the worst thing. I should name it something like Bo does the fudge or something. I should come up with a word for this one. But yeah, it feels good to have a working export on HISC after all this time. And now that I have Visual Studio 2022, I'm ready to move forward finally. Also, I sent a message to that guy, CHM Maha, the guy who is making the JSFX ports of Air Windows, and I'm waiting for him to reply about making a GUI version of monitoring, or at least a version of monitoring where you can mix and match the different monitoring options that I showed in a previous stream. And my homework for next time will be this one. Now this thing, you may be familiar with Sample Science. He is a very prominent VST maker. He's using Maze like I do. Actually, I may have to go back to Maze at some point because they have actually fixed some things. And they have also added distortion, delay, and chorus in addition to reverb. So I may do a new version of my organic Calskin kit drum plugin. Hopefully it's gonna solve some of the issues that I had, like the volume not having a limiter on the outputs, on the multiple outputs. Anyway, but I digress. So this thing, Sample Science sampled his own DSI mofo. DSI is Dave Smith Instruments. Rest in peace, Dave Smith. So he, let me show you the waveforms actually. So I can show you the trick. Analog waveform, there you go. So this is the pulse width or the square one. And, oh. Yeah, ever since I reinstalled Reaper, I forgot to have this disabled by default. I should do it. But yeah, you can see here the waveform, but it's not perfectly looped. So let's press the Z button. Wait, it's not the Z button?
It is.
It is. So why is it not? Oh, so I have to move apparently. But I want to go to this zero crossing, can't I? If I turn off the grid. No, there you go. This is a good zero. No, I don't want crossfades. Oh, there you go. So apparently this person also used Reaper. You have to check this. Boom. And then let's go to the next one. So if we go to the beginning, does it look loopable to you guys? No, it doesn't, because it begins from the top. So we have to chop it. No, let's chop. Come on. We're gonna find the top one. Come on. It's a 10-second waveform. How hard can this be? By the way, this waveform also has some Reaper cues. I don't know if you can see it, those blue dotted lines. And I think those are loop points. There is an action for this. Let's do it. Q. I think I found an option to split at Q. Boom. So is this loopable? Let's find out. Let's mute this one. Oh. So it is loopable at this point. Yeah, it looks loopable too. So yeah, whatever, I'm gonna use the item queues. Anyway, so what I'm planning to do is I am interested in these waveforms more so than actually using the default sine waves that you get, or the default waveforms, sorry, the default oscillators that you get with HIC, because where we spec, where, oh, there you go. Are you familiar with spec?
No, what is it?
It's an open source spectrum analyzer. So you load any waveform and you see it.
Nice.
And also it has two keystrokes. Let me remember. I think the one is control and arrow keys. So if you look down here, you can adjust the dBs. So you can go way down. And also the minus is 20. I think you can go all the way to 0. No, you can't. But if you press control, oh yeah, you have to press control and shift so you can go to 0 dB.
The one that I use for this kinds of analysis is Sonic Visualizer. Do you know that one?
Oh yeah, that one is also free, yeah, and it's open source. And it uses those plugins called VAMP, right?
Correct.
Anyway, Spake is nice for quick and dirty spectrum analysis.
Can you edit audio in that thing?
No, it's only for watching, for seeing a waveform.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Anyway, so you can see that these waveforms are not clean because they have been recorded from an actual analog synthesizer. Let's go to this. I think this is a saw and triangle. So you have all these artifacts here. But I'm interested in what these things can do in an HISC sampler. So I remember a developer called Flintbolt who had created a synth in Maze, and he called it a sampler that thinks that it's a thing. That is a sampler that thinks that it's a synth. And I want to make something along these lines, a rumpler that is based on analog waveforms, just like Sample Science himself did. But I want to take them one step further. I want to actually make, we had discussed this with Bo a couple of months ago on how I could implement a wow and flutter. And I'll see if I can imitate this effect using the HISC built-in effects, or maybe I could make some of my own using the help of David Healy. And yeah, so what I'm planning to do is, I don't know, let's call it analog air waveforms. But yeah, it should be good to make a hybrid sampler slash synth. I've done it before, so it should be fun.
Wild stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll probably make a release of Wild. Let's see. Oh, what was my mistake? Oh, I forgot how to make VST3s from this thing. I'll find it next time. But I wanted to say that Wild is a bit closer to release now, but I'm considering making a Mac version and the Linux version. I could make a Linux version with a virtual machine, but for Mac, I think it's a bit more complicated to make a virtual machine, right?
I have never done it. I hear that it is possible. And I have never done it.
Okay, if I need some help with building the Mac, could you guys
Yeah, sure.
do it for me? I can send you the HISC.
Yeah, there is one thing to know about distributing this, if that's your plan. And that is, if you want the thing to install as usual, then you have to have a sign-in key and you have to go into the Apple Partner Program, and it's a whole thing. And on Windows, it's the same story. You also have to buy a certificate, and you can buy this certificate from many companies. You don't buy them directly from Microsoft. But you do have to have these keys, and they are somewhat expensive. I think that the Apple one is like $100 a year, and the Windows one is about the same price depending on who you get it from.
Oh no, it actually won't need an installer. When I made my organic Calskin kit, all I did was provide the VST3 files, and it worked like a charm.
I don't think that's true anymore. Because even if it's a library, like a dynamically loaded library, it will still go through Gatekeeper in macOS and Defender, I think it is. Defender on Windows.
Windows Defender, yeah.
Yeah. I think it will still go through that because it's code that's being loaded and it's going to run on your machine. So it better check the signature and certificate.
I'll check it on my friend's PC just to be safe.
Or you can go rogue and say to your users, go through the menus and click on the buttons, and then you'll be able to run the software, and I can save $200. Everyone wins.
Has Florian done this? Florian Murgala?
I don't know.
Because he does provide VST3s for free on his GitHub. And I haven't had any problems with them. So I should ask him.
Yeah. I have seen at least one, I forget who it was, but one publisher of VSTs who had a whole page explaining how to menu dive just so that they didn't need the certificates. Because it is, it's a bit of a scam. It's a bit of a scam.
Okay.
Yeah, there isn't any ad security. The only thing that they do is prove that you want your software to be distributed enough to spend $100 on it.
Okay.
But the whole authorization process, I don't think it does a lot in terms of surging security. But anyway, yeah, there is that. But other than I don't have a certificate yet. I'm thinking of having one when I have some software to distribute, but for the time being, I'm only asking people to menu dive.
Okay, so that means I'm probably going to spam Florian and David with PMs.
But I am happy to compile stuff for you as long as you're okay with the little warning you will get when you distribute.
Okay, thank you so much.
How about clap?
HISC doesn't support clap yet.
Ah, okay.
It does support a standalone application, but I think that's definitely going to ring some alarms on Windows Defender and Gatekeeper, right? It's a whole other kind of worms.
Ah, okay. Did you want to code? Did you want to modify the slew plugin?
Oh yeah.
By Air Windows? Is that a viable thing to do on stream?
You told me that I could live code the slew filter.
Yeah, if Leandro is up for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do a live JSFX coding session. So first of all, we go to. We have to create a new one like this. No. Do I have to create a new JSFX from scratch using Notepad, or is there an option here? I forgot how to make a new JSFX file.
Open the FX browser. Right-click anywhere where there isn't a menu. So like to the left of the add.
Oh.
There you go. Create new JSFX. And
Sweet.
if you want it to be in a particular folder, you can use folder name /.
Oh, okay. So, my JSFX / right?
Yeah, that
Or
should work.
I
You don't
call
know, in
it
fact, many
slew.
people say this, that you need backslashes on Windows, but Windows recognizes both forward and backward slashes. It shows backward slashes, but it recognizes forward slashes just the same. Anyway, yeah,
Oh,
that
it
should
worked.
be it. And you even get a little template with a volume knob.
Oh, it didn't get it though. It made the part of the. I should have used the forward slash.
No. Look at it again. Look at it again.
See,
Notice
there
how
are-
it's using backslashes, and the
Oh.
forward slash is before your
yeah.
given name. So that
Oh,
forward
okay.
slash was given by Reaper.
Oh, okay. I was scared.
Your file name is okay.
Awesome.
So see,
So-
another evidence that Windows doesn't care. You can use forward slashes if you wish.
Awesome. So, Bo, please guide me through.
Yeah. Do you know what the slew rate is doing? What sort of slew thing is doing? So Chris has 3 different versions of the slew, and I only know
I love them both. All of
Yeah.
them.
I only know the principle for the first one. And slew, you're subtracting the current sample from the last sample. That's
yeah.
what it's doing.
Mhm. So you're making a curve.
Yeah, and that will give you a really bright and harsh sound because you're only measuring sort of the speed of the waveform. So that's what it's doing. And you were talking sort of you needed a darker slew, and I guess you'd only need a low pass for that, a regular low pass. And a gain compensation because the slew is really low in volume. But what that basically is an RSI indicator. I think it's called the RSI indicator in trading terms. So they're using slew as well in that as well. So Leandro, first we need to store samples.
So you need to remember the last sample because you want to have access to it in the current sample, right?
Yes.
So let's go to the sample section, and I guess it makes sense to store the last sample after we have done all the work, but before we start modifying the output. So the lines that we have there on the screen, SPL0 times equals blah, 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 those are actually modifying the samples already. So it's like producing output. So we want to have our lines above that. And you can have something like previous sample 0 equals SPL0.
Like this. Prev Prev SPL.
If you wish, yes.
0.
Equals SPL0, sample 0. And for stereo, just copy, paste, change the variable names, you know the drill. But the point is, we would write all our code above these lines so that the previous SPL0, previous SPL1 really do refer to the previous sample. And above that line, previous SPL0 represents the previous sample and SPL0 represents the current sample. Subtract one from the other and you have this loop. Does that help? Because I'm not familiar with the slew things that Chris created.
That sounds correct. That's the way I did it when I did the slew thing.
Okay. And you're telling me that just by outputting the slew rate as audio, it is meaningful information? It is something that makes sense to do?
Well, it does a couple of things. It will tell you. It's kind of he's using it in the monitoring plugin because you can derive information from it.
Not the slew only, yeah.
Yeah. If you know what you're listening for. But should we pull up Bertram equalizer and check what it does?
That is fascinating to me. That's interesting. I wanna hear it actually.
Chris has made a lot of Chris has made a lot of experiments with slews, especially.
It's basically a lot of treble. That's like above 10K-ish thing.
Sorry I'm being very slow to speak today because I'm tired. But there are like three different experiments.
You're being slow.
There's
three different experiments that Chris did with slews. The one was, of course, the 3 slew plugins. The second one was the slew only, that isolates the slews so you can hear them better. And it's also part of monitoring. And the third one that he made very recently, and I haven't had the time to check it out, is called Slew Sonic. And it's a cross between the slew only and the ultrasonic filters that he made recently, which were biquads. So you have...
Which one is the Slew 3? Which one is that? Is that yet another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those 3 that I mentioned. Anyway, but yeah, like the Slew 3 is a bit more interesting than... I can show you these in the Bertram thing. The Slew 2, well, all 3 of them, actually.
And of course there is the bass, which is using the slews somehow.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, but yeah, both de-essers by Chris are using the slews. Come on, okay. I hate it when Bertram does that. Sorry, Bertram is cool, but it does have its problems. Oh, wait, the Skype window is right here. What am I doing? So yeah, this is the first slew.
Doesn't change the frequency?
Actually, it doesn't. It's a bit weird. But the second one, the slew 2, you can actually see what it's doing. The clamping. See? This is what we're doing. And the funny thing is that when I tweak it from a specific value onwards, it does this little slope thing. But slew 3 is the more interesting one because, like Chris has said, this one actually has a sound. It has a character. It has a specific way of taming the slews.
All I know is he's doing a sort of formula. He's storing the 2 last samples, and he's doing his formula with the 3 last samples, as opposed to storing 1 sampling and subtracting it. So this is sort of, I think, he's adding and subtracting something. It's all in the code.
Okay, let's also try the slew only. This is slew only. You can see that it's boosting the slews.
That's why.
And slew sonic. Let's see. Oh, my God. Yeah, Chris's plugins are capable of making the craziest EQ curves you have ever seen. But enough of this. Let's go back to mine. So I can actually figure out how this stuff works.
Well, if the thing that you want to do is take the current sample and subtract the previous sample, that should give you a high pass filter, I want to say.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I never thought about it like that, but it does make sense. So do you want to write this out to see if we can make it?
Sure.
Okay, so above the lines that capture the previous sample, let's write 2 lines that are like slew 0 and slew 1, for instance. And slew 0 is equal to the current sample, SPL0, minus previous SPL0. Rinse and repeat for the right channel. And on the lines that are setting the output, the lines that read SPL0 times equals less gain, we change times equals into just equals, and we change less gain into slew 0 and slew 1. Now we are outputting the slew rates as our output. This is what we will hear.
Like this?
No. The lines that read SPL0 equals less gain, change less gain to slew 0.
Sorry.
And you can remove this line where your cursor is.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, you can remove that one. And change not...
And I can replace
No, leave that. Change less gain to the right-hand side of the equal sign.
Okay.
Change that into slew 0. There you go.
By the way, did you know that Chris released slew 3 on my birthday, August 30, 2020? And I screamed like a kid because I loved slew 2. And it was like the best birthday gift he could have given me that year. So and I can't believe that I'm actually making a slew filter myself now. It's real.
Now you can check the code for slew 3 and copy it.
Oh, yeah.
Go on his GitHub.
What else do I have to do?
I think that you're good. It will be, I want to say, a high-pass filter. Let's see if it makes sense.
Whoa!
It is a high-pass filter.
It is. Will it work? The slider? No.
No, the slider is not being used anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. But wow, I made my first...
could you raise the top frequency of Bertram to what sample rate do you have? Do you have 48 or?
Yeah, I have 48.
Not the
resolution.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this one. And 20. So yeah, it goes.
And the slope is a 60 dB per octave.
Well, the thing is, it's sort of dynamic. It changes with the material, so it's not like a set slope. So if you watch it, well, the Bertram shows a set slope, but if you run a regular spectrum analyzer and just throw white noise at it, it will produce a slightly different curve.
I want to see that. Can you do that for us, Fotis?
Okay. Say the word.
It should like be a high pass that slopes off, and that's also a low pass in a high frequency.
Yeah, sort of like Supersonic. So what do I have to do the opposite?
No. It's just to visualize it. So to put up a spectrum analyzer and a white noise generator.
Okay. That's good. I'm gonna mute it though. Nobody wants to hear a white noise right now.
And a very high-pitched one at that.
And the one that Leandro himself made, no less.
Yeah, it does have a distinct feature of not being too loud when you load it into the track.
Oh, sweet! Thank you.
That's very thoughtful.
Psyche made a great spectrum analyzer. This one is.
Oh.
Oopsie. Yeah, it's feature packed to the brim. So yeah, you can see with and without the slew filter.
And do you think, Paul, that this curve is not a 60 dB per octave slope?
It should fall off. Oh, it says 20K. Once you get above 20K, it should like drop off again.
Oh yeah, I forgot how you change the visualizers.
Well, if you feed it static material.
God, you can resize the panes? That is crazy.
It's not crazy, it's Psyche.
Oh, Psyche is out of this world. Sorry, Bo, I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, that's cool. It's probably a 6 dB curve. If you did a 6 dB at that frequency. But that's for the static material. It's quite dynamic. It's supposed to be dynamic. With dynamic material, it's going to change the curve.
I'm not sure I can see what you are saying. But anyway, we did the thing. We did something that outputs the slew rate.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the goal? I'm not really sure if this was the goal or if this was a step on something else that you wanted to do.
The step was that I wanted to implement just a slight low pass at the end of the slew rate. Will that be possible? Just to trim less these little things.
Yeah, to tame it a bit.
To tame it, yeah.
Yeah. So the easy way would be to add a library, I guess. Do you have an SM library, and then just add the a low pass for that? But do you want to code it from scratch?
Yeah, it shouldn't be very difficult to code the low pass, right? In a JSFX.
Leandro?
Leandro has you.
Well, if you want to keep it very, very simple, you could change the definition of slew. It will no longer be the slew rate. But just to make it very quick, go back to your code, and again, it will no longer be the slew rate. Don't get confused by the variable name, but change the minus into a plus. That gets you a low pass filter. Yeah, but now you don't have control over the cutoff frequency, and you don't have control over the slope. But it is a low pass.
Oh yeah, so.
But of course, if you put the two together, you will get silence. They're complementary.
They're canceling each other.
Yeah, and you also see that this line is sitting at the 6 dB line. So we are boosting the signal by 6 dB. If you don't want to do that, just multiply by half or divide by 2.
So I can divide this by 2?
Yeah, but put parentheses around the addition. You want you want to have the result of the addition, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that. And then you get rid of that 6 dB boost.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that's a low pass.
Whoa. Perfectly sitting at 0 dB.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
What would happen if we? I haven't tried this, but if we subtracted a part of the previous sample,
so part of the previous sample,
just added a slider value, a sort of slider variable for that. So a previous sample times slider is 1 or something, and look at that curve. Dead silence. That one.
Do you want help writing this out?
Yes, please.
Okay, so scroll up until we get to the sliders. And how about we use this slider that we already have, but we probably want the range to be different, not from minus 150 to 12, probably more like minus 10 to 10. How about that?
Yes, that sounds about right. Like this, or without the space?
The space works, but it's usually not there. If you look at other people's code, it will not be there. And then also put comma and like 0.1, that's the step. When you're moving the slider, that's the step size. And then you probably also want to change the variable name. Gain dB is not a good variable name for this. It will be more like, I don't know, coefficient, let's say. And you probably want to change the label as well. And this coefficient, the unit of measurement is, I don't think there is one. So it's just coefficient, no unit of measurement. And then take this, go back to the lines where we compute the outputs there, yeah. Two lines above, so where we compute slew 0, for instance. And I think what Bo wants is to change the line that starts with slew 0 equals. He wants us to multiply previous sample previous SPL 0, multiply that by the coefficient. Is that right, Bo?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Do I have to add a new line?
No, just on the same line, just multiply. Go to previous SPL 0 right before the close parens.
Oh. This one?
Yeah, this line right before we close parens.
Okay.
And multiply by coefficient.
This one?
Exactly,
Okay.
and now repeat on the next line. Okay. And before we actually see, can you guess what this is going to do?
Is it going to tame the low pass? It's going to be... it's going to multiply the coefficient. So are we going to be able to control the low pass? Because it's multiplying by this value, right?
And Bo, do you know what it's going to do?
Yeah, it's going to change the character of the low pass. And but the multiplication value was it minus 10 to 10? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to change that?
No, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, I want to take my guess. My guess is that this is going to change the cutoff frequency.
Guys, what did you make me create? I'm scared.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's going to exactly. It's going to change the character of it. It's going to change it's going to flatten it out, basically.
Okay. Drum roll, please. Oh, first of all, it drops to more than minus 6 dB when it's at 0. Interesting.
Yeah, just because of that division by 2, you could get rid of that.
Whoa. Oh, the division by... Okay, I'll remove it. But first, whoa.
I was completely wrong.
Oh my god, this is an entirely new thing. I don't know what it is.
Could you also make one channel minus? You have one that adds and one that subtracts. So the left adds and the right subtracts, and see what happens. Because
like
then
this?
you get like both on the same.
Yeah, but first, please allow me to remove the divisions. And now it's straight at 0. Yeah, you don't have the. And now you said I'm gonna replace this plus with a minus.
Yeah, one of the channels for one of, so you get both at the same time.
Whoa! Oh my god. I think this is the very first JSFX I ever made from scratch.
What about we change the range of the slider value?
Okay. To what?
Let's go nuts. Is it 10? Well, times 10. Make them both 100. Let's see what happens.
I like your way of thinking. Whoa. It goes to infinity and beyond.
Well, I guess what happens is between 0 and 1, it goes from flat to low pass.
Mm-hmm.
And or high pass, depending on the channel now. And then from then, when you continue increasing the coefficient, you're giving more weight to the previous sample.
Yep.
So it becomes more difficult for new samples to change the output.
It goes all the way to 28 dBs.
Yeah, but at some point you're just like, the curve flattens out again and you're just adding gain. Either
they
polarity invert and add gain when you go into negatives, or just add gain when you go into positives. But it becomes very difficult for new samples to change the frequency. I think that's the interpretation. That's why this is happening. I don't know. Just guessing.
So let's go back to 10. I'm scared to use it.
I guess between 0 and 1 would be interesting because we would see the
Oh,
flat curve going into the low pass shape.
like this?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, let's see. Oh,
That's kind of
Yeah.
cute.
yeah. Mhm. Sweet.
Is this your first JSFX, Leandro?
What?
Fotis?
Yeah,
Is
it
this your
is.
first?
I
Oh.
did actually make some JSFX, but those were ports of Air Windows. I have done this in a previous study group session, I think last summer, based on Mark Heath's tutorials. I did have some prior experience, but it was
Yeah.
just copy pasting. I don't think I have made one from scratch before. So yeah, this was a nice experience.
That should make for a nice little sort of bright switch or something.
Yeah.
If you mildly, just with that high end boost thingy.
Okay, and now that I figured out a few more things on what to do, I could try my hand at some more calculations, like divide and multiply and see what happens. So yeah, this could be a nice playground for me to make some new filters.
Yeah.
I could make fudge too. The revenge of fudge.
Awesome.
And wow, thank you guys. That opened my eyes to the world of JSFX.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Cool.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Yeah, there's one new JSFX feature that I'm very excited about. You have a whole templating system to generate JS effects. So you create code that creates code. I'm always into meta programming, and now there is a meta programming engine in JSFX. Kind of looks like PHP. Whole crazy thing. I'm looking forward to writing something with that, especially because I have done something like that. I called it JS effects because I was using JavaScript to generate JS effects, and now there is a native way of doing it.
So why this is going to be added on the next Reaper version?
No, it's already released.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where can we find it? Is it on the latest?
It should be in the documentation online.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to show us some of it, or?
No, I haven't played with it. It's just something I'm excited about.
Oh, cool.
Sweet.
The documentation has changed quite a bit. But it's called the EEL2 preprocessor, and I want to play around with it.
So
Here is the documentation.
The EEL language, is it going to stay the same forever?
Probably.
So they're not gonna make any new changes or additions to it, but they're gonna make new tools around it, like, right?
I suppose they could extend the language here and there, but I don't expect them to change it a whole lot. But yeah, it has a flavor of PHP, and then you can write code like this that will produce code like that.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Speaking of JSFX, that guy I was mentioning earlier, CH Maha, he told me an interesting thing about a problem in JSFX. Please wait, I'm gonna go to my Cocos forum inbox. He told me one of the Air Windows plugins that's called Bus Colors, that's making a distortion based on impulse responses that were captured from actual analog gear. And CH Maha told me, let me know if there are any other plugins that you'd like me to port to JSFX. And Bus Colors 4 is the one that I would desperately like to release. But because of the single thread nature of JSFX, the performance of creating impulse responses on the fly is pretty terrible. At least that's my best guess. So if there is no way to create a multi-threaded JSFX.
Well, one thing is for sure, you don't have control over creating threads and managing threads in JSFX. But JSFX is multi-threaded. You have the user interface and audio processing. I'm now thinking if you could try and use the user interface thread to do stuff, but I don't think it's a good idea because if you close the interface, it doesn't work anymore. Because your code stops running if you don't need to see the user interface. Oh, no, hang on. There is a hack. You can have an option in your JSFX code that says that the user interface code should run even if the user interface is closed.
Okay.
So you could try to use that second thread to do this stuff out of the real-time loop.
Okay, I'll let him know.
That's hacky. It's very hacky.
It's very hacky. Sweet. That's the way we do things. A workaround of a workaround of a workaround. That's our motto.
Yeah. All right. I think that this is a good place for us to wrap up, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So, first, thank you very much, Fotis and Bo, for joining me on the meeting.
Thank you.
And thank you to our subscribers. Let me show you this. We are almost reaching 2,000 of us. Almost 2,000. Come on, spread the word. Find 9 friends.
Yeah.
I don't have
like-minded
friends.
people.
I don't have 9 friends. Oh no. But I'm very I'm not, as you all know, I'm not into this because I want to increase this number. But it does fill my heart with joy that
Come on,
people
Leandro, you like it.
But it does fill my heart with joy that the number is increasing, even though I am in this weird limbo where I am streaming less often. Things are heading in the right direction. We will be back full speed at some point in the near future, I hope. Anyway, thank you Nod, Was One, and Tail, and Mage for joining us on the chat. And yeah, make sure that you check this information here because it is interesting. It has to do with the notarization that we were talking about, Fotis. And yeah, thank you all for watching this in the future. Make sure that you do like Fotis and go support us on Patreon and PayPal. All the links are in the description. And yeah, let's say goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the stream. You know how great it has been. Or maybe it sucked, and I am glad that you stuck with me. And soon we'll all be back together for some more coding or talking or chilling. The next time I'll be streaming.